Hi, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Dogfish Head Craft Brewery, and they are out of Milton, Delaware, and this is their Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale. So this is a pale ale brewed with Kernza and granola. It comes in at 5.3% alcohol by volume, 30 IBUs, and at the time of review, this can is just under 5 weeks old, and it also has a best by date of May 30th of 2025, and we're just under 3 months away from that date. So according to Dogfish Head, we should be more than good to go. Now, this is another collaboration between Dogfish Head and the band The Grateful Dead. They've collabed a couple times in the past. I've reviewed one of the collabs. It was their American Beauty Hazy Ripple IPA. I think it was brewed with spelt. Pretty solid. So they came back with another collab, and this is actually a year-round offering, which I did not know until I searched a little bit for information on it. And they also have a little spiel here on the can. It says, this collaborative juicy pale ale took us on an exploration of goodness, starting with a generous dose of Kernza grains and granola for a beer bursting with good karma. Enjoy notes of bright citrus and tropical refreshment. Now, if you don't know what Kernza is, I really didn't know either. It's a grain. It's actually pretty cool. And on their website, they have a spiel here. It says, Kernza is a sustainable rock star of a grain developed by the Land Institute, a Kansas nonprofit transforming agricultural with perennial grain crops that enhance farmer resilience while addressing ecological challenges. And it also says at the end of this paragraph that it also lends a uniquely nutty flavor to this juicy brew. I looked, as far as like using it in beer, it says that it has more of a sweet, nutty kind of profile, which this is what Dogfish Head is known for, some unique ingredients over the years, and they came back with a grain that apparently is really good for beer. So I'm curious about this one. They do mention Dorado and Azacca hops. Outside of that, not much more to say. It's a 5.3% pale ale. Let's get it into the hashtag proper glassware and see what this one is all about. So, ooh, it's quite hazy, and I figured it would be hazy, but I don't know, it looks a little bit more hazy than I anticipated for whatever reason. Now, this glass always generates a big head. I did do an aggressive pour, so that is kind of my fault. But at the same time, kind of wild. And, they have like the whole Grateful Dead, logo and all that stuff. And again, it's a year-round offering, which I think is damn cool. So first, I'll let you see the beer as you should see it. Now, on camera, I'm going to say this one looks a little bit more darker on camera. You're seeing like more of like a dark kind of orange color. In person, it has, especially with the lights, it has like this bright, like sunshiny kind of orange color. It's not going to come off probably on camera. Maybe if I do the whole light thing here. See how it's lighter at the bottom, you go up, it's more murky at the top. That's kind of what I see. But in person, like this part of it is pretty much more of a this is more of like an orange color here, and then down here is more of like a deeper yellow color. But regardless, it looks exactly how I would hope. It has a 3 fingers of this off-white soap sudsy looking head. It kind of looks like soap suds for sure. Big bubbles mixed with smaller bubbles, very hazy as you saw. I could see the carbonation rising, and this does have the etching at the bottom that promotes the carbonation, aka nucleation, as I always say. And yeah, it just kind of looks like how it should. Now in the hashtag proper glassware, I think it looks even better, if we're being honest here. So it just looks like a beautiful beer. No questions asked. Anyway, let's get a note. Ooh, yes, they said citrus and tropical. I'm getting a lot of like sweet OJ, ruby red grapefruit, but then there's a blast of what I'm just going to say is like pineapple, melon, like a generic melon. I wouldn't say honeydew or cantaloupe or watermelon, just melon, passion fruit, a little bit of mango. I'm not getting that nutty flavor they were talking about, or nutty characteristic from the Kernza. It just kind of has like a grainy white bread, almost biscuity kind of flavor to it, or aroma to it from the malt and the grains. A very slight dankness, a little bit of herbaceousness. I'll be honest with you, this smells actually quite good. This smells like a really good hazy pale ale. It's quite fresh, so it has the aromatics are very intense. It's bursting out of the glass, and it really smells awesome. Wow. All right, let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. So this happens occasionally. You guys, if you watch the channel quite a bit, you know this happens occasionally. The nose is better than the taste. The nose just, again, fresh, sticky, just fruit character, like dripping with fruit character. And then on top of that, it was very just like, you know, dank and had just a big intensity to the nose. And then I take a sip and I'm like, that's very nuanced and subdued and mild. The body on this for 5.3% is impressive. I'd say medium, a touch over medium. Maybe it's the Kernza, maybe it's the granola. But it definitely has a little bit of a thicker body to it than I anticipated. The mouthfeel itself does have like a moderate carbonation, but it still remains somewhat soft. Softer than anticipated, I'd say. A little bit of creaminess and very smooth on the palate going down. So body and mouthfeel are really nice. The taste though, man, that nose set me up for disappointment. That happens occasionally, as I mentioned, and I'm kind of bummed because this smelled absolutely fantastic. I don't know what happened. So up front, I do get that white bread or that biscuity kind of grainy character. Could be the Kernza as well. Hits me down underneath the palate, omnipresent, but just kind of propping up the rest of the characteristics, which include more citrus than anything. It's like a pithy, zesty, kind of bittering orange, like an orange peel. So a little bit of like a white grapefruit peel, and that's right at the tip of the tongue. Passes through, I get a little bit of like an underripened mango, maybe a touch of peach, pineapple, but again, more subdued and nuanced and not as intense, and I don't want to say sweet because I don't want to come off as like in the nose of smelling like this beer could be sweet in the taste, but if you've ever had like a ripened or over-ripened fruit of any sort, like a mango or pineapple or whatever, it definitely has a sweetness to it. It's kind of those flavors and those fruits, but without like a sweetness. It's just kind of, again, under-ripened. Yeah, that's somewhat disappointing. Even as I go back, the nose is just immaculate compared to the taste. What the hell? On the finish, I do get a little bit of that dank, more herbaceousness, almost like a tomato stalk, or even like walking through a forest, or as some people have said, like as it rains outside, it has like that dewy kind of smell. It's kind of more like that. It's not pine, it's not resinous, it's a little bit dank and herbaceous, but also kind of just like somewhat floral, I guess. Finishes with a nice, I'd say, semi-dry kind of finish. Mild bitterness, but here's the thing. It's not that, here's the thing. I say that in most reviews, but sometimes I catch it, sometimes I don't. It's dry, but only semi-dry. It's bitter, but only mildly bitter, but the sweetness isn't overwhelming. So it's pretty well balanced, but the sweetness, the dryness, and the bitterness all work in a perfect harmony, but none of them are actually that big. It's all very, again, this beer as a whole can be summed up as very mild to my palate, and the nose was fantastic. Now, the glass lacing, what does that mean? Some say it's a sign of a quality beer. Yeah, this is a quality beer. It's just the taste isn't hitting me in the feels like the nose was. 5.3%, you really can't tell. I could drink this entire thing on camera. This is a chugger of a pale ale. Would I say it's juicy? In the nose it was. In the taste, not really. In the taste, it falls flat compared to the nose. It's not a bad beer in the least. This is still a damn solid beer, but the nose was, to me, indicating that it was going to be very bright, as they say, right? They said bright on there, right? Yeah, notes of bright citrus and tropical refreshment. No, it's not bright in the taste. It's bright in the nose. So this is a tale of two beers. The nose is fantastic. It was really getting me excited. I get to the taste, a little bit of a letdown. Body and mouthfeel are great for something 5.3%. It still has nice flavors. It's just more nuanced, and that's kind of a bummer. So rating, if the nose carried over, honestly, this would be like a high 4, maybe like a 4.1 until like a low 4.25, be like a 4.2. Like, that's how much I like it. I'm going to drop it down like a decent amount. I just got to be honest with you guys. Like, the nose is awesome. The taste is just solid. So, Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale from Dogfish Head in collaboration with the Grateful Dead. High 3.75, go 3.85. That's the best I can do on this one, and I know that might sound like a decent score, and it is, but again, if it wasn't for the subdued flavors in the taste, this would be easily I'd say a 4.1 to a 4.2. That's how much the nose was just screaming awesomeness to me. Bit of a letdown. It happens. Price point availability. This one, I think it was $10.99 a six pack. I got a single of it. It was like $2 or just under $2. That's fine. Year round, you're talking less than $2 a can. If you like beers like this, then that is a great price point. Again, you might not like it as much as me, maybe you like it more than me, but for what I'm tasting, $11 a six pack essentially, I'm okay with it. It might be a little bit more expensive or a little cheaper in your neck of the woods, but I'm fine with it. And availability, like I said, this is year round now, brand new release from them, so you should see it on the shelves if you do get Dogfish Head stuff. And this is one of the shelfie beers that I'm reviewing for the month of March 2025. Hopefully I get a chance to try the 75-minute, which is in their IPA variety pack, the new one that they released this year, 30, 60, 90-minute, along with 75-minute, which they haven't released in many years. I have yet to see it in the Buffalo, New York area, but once I do, I'm reviewing 75-minute. I don't know if it's going to be as a shelfie beer for next month or the month after, or it's just going to be something I review on its own, but I want to revisit that because that was one of my favorites. I think I liked it more than both 60 and 90-minute when I had it, but we'll see if that is still the case. So anyway, if you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it, if you picked it up in the last month or what. I forget when they released this one, but I'm pretty sure it was released for the first time in February. So you should have seen this on the shelves, and if so, let me know what you thought about it. Did you get the disappointing kind of like conversion from the nose to the taste like I did? Because there's been a lot of beers over the years that I've reviewed where the nose is just immaculate, just over the top, sensational, and then I taste it and I'm just like, why didn't it carry over? This is one of those beers. Still solid, still enjoyable. 3.85, still a damn solid beer. It's just, man, I thought it was going to be better than it ended up being. So anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Like I said, 5.3%. You can't taste it. Body and mouthfeel are actually really nice. I would have thought maybe a little bit watery or like lower side of, higher side of like light body, but this is more like medium, a touch over medium. Impressive. So anyway, to the next one. Cheers. Oh, I didn't really mention the Kernza in this. That was one of the kind of selling points for this one was the Kernza grains. I did not get any nuttiness. I really didn't get anything that I would say was different than like a regular grain bill. I had that grainy kind of biscuity white bread feeling, but no, there's no nuttiness and nothing that I would say was standing out from the crowd, but maybe it's just my poor palate, probably. Cheers.